Today, we will discuss the results of Mars in Aries Navamsha, etc. in Part 1 of Chapter 65 of Parashara Horashastra. You know, when we think of ancient astrology, it's incredibly easy to picture mystical poetry, vague prophecies, and intuition-based readings. But today, we're exploring an explainer of the Brihad Parashara Horashastra, and we're going to frame this ancient text in a completely different way. We really aren't looking at this as some collection of mystical musings. Actually, we're examining it as a rigorous, highly structured mathematical system. It's this fascinating bridge between strict, formulaic astronomy and the human experience.
Okay, let's dive right into this. We'll be breaking down this source material in 5 steps. 1. The mathematical foundation. 2. Calculating planetary rays. 3. Navigating planetary periods. 4. The states of Mars. And finally, 5. Decoding ancient frameworks.
Section 1. The Mathematical Foundation.
Looking directly at the source material, the Brihad Parashara Horashastra, what becomes immediately apparent is that its foundation is built on highly specific, rule-based algorithms. Right off the bat, it is clearly not about a practitioner sitting in a room just relying on mere intuition. Honestly, it's all about data processing.
Essentially, this ancient system functions very much like a complex computer program. It treats astrology as an algorithmic science of time and space. You've got spatial variables, like exactly where the planets are located in the sky, and temporal variables, meaning when these events are actually occurring. The text literally provides the formulas to input these variables and calculate a highly specific output.
Moving on to Section 2. Calculating planetary rays.
Now, what's really interesting here are the baseline values assigned to each celestial body. According to the text, when planets are at their deep exaltation point, which is essentially their maximum strength, they emit a specific number of rays. The Sun is given the absolute maximum power at 10 rays. The Moon has 9, Venus 8, Jupiter 7, and Mars, Mercury, and Saturn each have a baseline of 5 maximum rays. Conversely, when they're in deep debilitation, their rays just drop straight down to 0.
But as you might guess, planets are rarely at their absolute maximum or minimum. So how did they calculate a planet's exact power at any given moment? Well, let's translate those dense Sanskrit instructions into a modern algorithm we can easily follow. Step 1. You find the exact longitude of the planet in the sky. Step 2. Mathematically deduct the longitude of that planet's deep debilitation point. In step 3, take that remainder, multiply it by the planet's maximum rays, and finally divide by 6.
And you might be asking yourself right now, why divide by 6? Well, in this formula, the number 6 acts as a constant mathematical divisor used to normalize the final output. Because the maximum distance from debilitation to exaltation is exactly 6 signs of the zodiac, dividing by 6 ensures the final calculated rays scale proportionately based on the planet's exact mathematical distance from its weakest point. It is pure systematic calculation. Let's look at Section 3, Navigating Planetary Periods.
The original Sanskrit text meticulously details these time periods. What we're looking at are verses mapping out the antardasas, or sub-periods, within the major dasa of the Sun. It really shows just how strictly these intersecting timelines were categorized by the authors.
The absolute crucial point here is how this system layers time. It doesn't just look at one big overarching era. Instead, it divides your life into major periods, or dashes, which are ruled by a specific planet. But within that major period, you experience sub-periods, or antartasas, ruled by other planets. So, for example, you could be living within the overarching 6-year major period of the Sun, but currently experiencing the specific day-to-day sub-period of the Moon. It's an entire system of nested timelines.
And the text is incredibly specific about the outputs of these intersecting timelines. Depending on the planetary alignments and the current dasa and antardasa, the algorithms predict precise outcomes. If the calculation yields a positive result, it might output something like acquisition of wealth and grains, or success in ventures. But if the variables align poorly, the text predicts things like attacks of fever and lethargy, or danger from the king, which in modern terms we'd probably translate as getting into trouble with the government.
Section 4. The States of Mars.
The text describes things called avastas, which literally map entirely human behavioral states onto celestial bodies. To help us really grasp this, let's use a modern analogy. Think of an avasta as a planet's status update on a social network. Just like a person's behavior changes, whether their status is at work, sleeping, or eating, the planet's influence changes drastically based on its current behavioral mood.
Let's actually contrast 2 of these states for Mars just to see how specific this gets.
When Mars is calculated to be in Gamanavasta, which translates to roaming or active, the text says the subject will be always roaming, have a fear of multiple ulcers, incur joint diseases, and face financial decline. But if Mars is in Sabhastavasta, meaning in assembly, and is in exaltation, the outcome completely flips. The subject will be skillful in conducting wars, hold the flag of righteousness aloft, and be very wealthy.
And this brilliantly illustrates how poetic yet hyper-specific the translations become. When Mars is placed in Agamanavasta, the source text states that the native will be virtuous, endowed with precious gems, adore a sharp sword, and, get this, walk with the majestic gait of an elephant, imparting surprise in the onlooker. The mathematical position of a rock, literally millions of miles away, is being used to predict the exact physical swagger of a human being. It's wild.
The nuance continues when Mars updates its status to things like eating or sleeping. If Mars is in Bhojanavasta, or dining, and has mathematical strength, the native will eat sweet foods. If it's weak, they will indulge in base acts and be dishonorable. If Mars is in Sayanavasta, meaning sleeping, the text says the person will be libidinous, learned, but irritable. And if this sleeping state occurs specifically in the 5th or 7th house, the algorithm outputs a much darker result, the loss of the first wife or child.
Finally, Section 5, Decoding Ancient Frameworks. Ultimately, the Brihat Parashara isn't just predicting the future. It's an ancient attempt to build a unified theory of the cosmos, where the geometry of the solar system is inextricably linked to the digestion, the wealth, and the very gait of an individual. Which leaves us with one final, absolutely fascinating question to ponder. How did the ancient world manage to so seamlessly intertwine strict mathematical precision with such deeply abstract, poetic human interpretation? On behalf of the Vedmata AI family, if you found our presentation informative, please share our video as widely as possible so that the authentic knowledge of Indian Vedic texts can reach the masses. Let us all participate in this yagya of knowledge. Har Har